Do you know what Waterborne is? It's where you can get news about the Jamaican culture and just learn about how Jamaicans are doing as a yard and abroad.
Salut tout le monde, ici Carrière La Flamme. T'aimes le reggae en français, en anglais, qui vient du Canada, du Québec et de la Jamaïque? Écoute Gwaan.
So, rope in and come check out the thing now. It's Gwaan.
I live in the UK and I enjoy tuning in to Gwaan.
I am a big fan of Gwaan. I'm always looking forward for the great vibes, the great things. They discuss a lot of things that are going on in Calgary, across Canada, and of course Jamaica. So I encourage.
This is what is going on in Jamaica. But check out Gwaan.
Every Friday at 7 p.m. Calgary time.
You get to learn a new Jamaican patois word or even a Jamaican trick.
I look forward to the patois word of the day, feeding my nostalgic mood with flavor and spice. Only Jamaicans can do.
Watch Gwaan.
It happens every Friday, 7 p.m. So check them out. And bye from Toronto.
Watch Gwaan.
Yo,
Watch Gwaan.
Relevant and entertaining, so keep up the good work.
Watch Gwaan.
Tune in, share, listen to Gwaan.
big up yourself. Gwaan 2022. Bless her.
Gwaan. Yes, Gwaan.
Watch Gwaan.
Always say you're going to know what Gwaan in a yard. Check it out. 7 p.m. every Friday.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Welcome. It is Gwaan National. I'm again here to host your Friday evening event. My name is Nadia Thompson. I'm coming at you again live and direct from Winnipeg, Manitoba. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm happy that you are here to join us this evening for a wonderful episode. We are going to be talking fatherhood. It is Father's Day weekend around the world, so we are happy to have some special fathers that are going to have a conversation with us later today. I hope you had an excellent week. It is a beautiful day here in Winnipeg. I hope it is beautiful wherever you are at. And please, we want you to interact with us today. So make sure that you grab a friend, grab a neighbor, grab all your family, bring them on together. We are going to have an interactive and a wonderful evening together. So I hope you are joining us and I hope you are wonderful. This is a great day and we are blessed. So thank you so much for being here. Again, I am coming at you from Toronto. Sorry, I'm from Winnipeg. Oh my goodness. I almost got sucked in there for a second. Sorry about that. I'm from Winnipeg and I'm a community member. I have been working with Black History Manitoba for several years, so I'm really happy to be here. And thank you for the Gwaan team for giving me this opportunity. So as we get into our day today, we are going to start off with our patois word of the day, and that is duppy. Okay, so I'm still learning things as we go along. As you know, I am Canadian Jamaican. So I was born here in Winnipeg. And even though that's the case, I have heard this word several times, but maybe in a different mindset. But I know there's songs with the word in it. There are different meanings that people might have. So we're going to ask you what you think or what the definition that you have of the word duppy. Now, when we were young, I have a brother and a sister. We grew up all the time and we always were scared of the dark. And most of the time we were scared of the dark because of duppy. So that's my sentence. That's how I would use it. And that's how I'm going to define it. But what about you? We want you to share your comments, put your definition into the comment section, and also use it in a sentence so that we have it. And we'll get back to that. So our word of the day is duppy. If you didn't get to join us last week, we had a really great discussion about supporting Black entrepreneurs. So last week, our guests were Neville Hamilton and Ross Cadestre. Lots of great points were made. One thing that stood out for us was that entrepreneurs need more than an idea or a skill. They need to learn how to run a business. That's where organizations like the BPA, Black Business and Professionals Association, comes in. They help with their knowledge. So if you didn't catch that episode, please go to our YouTube, our Facebook, and you can catch that again for a replay at your leisure. But it was a really, really great show. I encourage you to check that out. And you can find the link on our website, whatagwaan.ca. So, news around the country. We've got some updates on events happening. In Calgary, the JCAA is having Grab and Galang on July 9th. The menu includes fish, jerk chicken, ackee and saltfish, and more. There is curbside pickup available. Visit www.gcaalberta.com to order and for more information. Also in Calgary, the Afro-Caribbean Food Festival happens on July 23rd at St. Patrick's Park. This is a free event, which is excellent. And they are also having 5-time Juno winner Exco Levy, or Levi, however you pronounce that, will be the star entertainment for that day. So again, free event. Make sure you check that out in Calgary. In Montreal, the Jamaica Association of Montreal is having their annual Saint Jean-Baptiste barbecue on June 24th. When the barbecue is done, the party goes on. The overproof party goes until 3 a.m. So again, that's in Montreal. And check out Montreal's Jamaica Association for more information on that event. In Toronto, the JCA Recovery Summer Picnic is on July 10th. You must book bus seats by June 24th, and there are early bird tickets available. After the early bird date, your ticket prices are $40, and they're $25 for children. So there's so many exciting happenings across Canada. So we thank all of the associations who are participating in What to Go On for giving that information. If you know of any events, I'm sure that the What to Go On team would love to hear from you. So please hit us up on Facebook, on any of our Instagram, any of our social media, and give us more details about what's going on in your town. So it is time for Spot the Place. Okay, so this is when we share a picture of places in Jamaica and Canada, and you need to tell us where this place is. And we're looking for the specific location. So today, this is our Spot the Place location. Isn't it beautiful? Obviously, it is in Jamaica. And let's see if we can get a few people to guess where this could be, and we want to be very specific. I'll give you a hint. This location is in Portland. So that's my hint for today. Yep, I see we're interacting. Rafi's got the place location, but what is the place called is what we're looking for. So you got some time. We'll come back to it at the end of the show before we get back to it. Yes. You have to do that. And thank you so much for Rafa TV for interacting with us today. I hope there's more of you, so come along, join us. Yes, White Castle. I don't think it's a restaurant though, Sharon, but keep guessing and we will get to that at the end of the show. I am going to move along as we introduce our interviewers for this evening. And Donovan's going to come on and talk to us very soon. We are talking fatherhood today, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Thank
Yeah.
you, Donovan. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. And how are you?
I am pretty good. Great day here in Calgary. I mean, this week we had a little bit of rain, but you know what? Today got nice,
Oh, there's no rain
nice
here in
and bright.
Winnipeg. It's a nice 26 degrees. So
Well, that's fine. I mean, I think you guys
right.
are allowed a few good days of the year.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Right? It,
Yeah,
it,
we're doing good. So
it,
we're talking Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to you when it comes.
yeah, thanks. And today
You're
we're
very
gonna
welcome.
have a reason with some fathers, right? I'm really excited about that,
All
right?
right. Take it
So
away,
we'll have
my
a
friend.
reason, and I'll talk to you in a little bit,
All
right?
right. Sounds good.
All right. Yeah, thanks. Welcome again to Time to Reason here on What a Gwaan. And today we're going to talk about fatherhood, the good, the bad, the ugly, all parts of it. And I have two fathers. I mean, they have long bios, but we're not going to get into the bios today. They're here today because they are fathers and they're of Jamaican stock. So we've got a lot of perspective that we can apply. We've got Michael Farquharson, who is out of Brampton, Ontario. And I want to specifically say that Michael is a father of three, Joanna, Jasmine, and James. But he's also running for councillor in the Brampton municipal election scheduled for October 24th in wards 7 and 8. So if you're out in Brampton, first of all, go out and vote. And when you go out and vote, you vote for Michael. So simple as that, right? Father. And we have Greg Smith, father of Chelsea, who is 14 years old. And I'm going to bring them both into the discussion as we look at fatherhood, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Michael and Greg, welcome to What a Gwaan. And maybe I say no, happy Father's Day even before Father's Day come, right?
Oh, thanks, and same to you both.
All right,
Yes,
cool.
thank you, Donovan, and same to you, Donovan and Greg. Happy Father's Day when it comes.
All right. So first of all, this whole question of fatherhood, especially when we look at it from the lens of Jamaicans, can come with a whole lot of different pictures and perspectives. Maybe we'll start the conversation there about the perception about fathers in Jamaica, right? Not necessarily but just the general perception. Uh, Greg, I'll give you the first one. How do you think fathers are generally perceived from a Jamaican perspective?
I mean, thanks again, Donovan. And I think using the perspective of my last job in Jamaica as children's registrar for Jamaica, being responsible for over 700 children, I think it was critical that we have fathers who play a pivotal role. And I may say, as a person who never grew new in my father, I've never seen him, and grow without a father, it is critically important that fathers play their role in the development of their children, because who their children becomes is also important and also a legacy of theirs. And so it's critical we always encourage them that whatever it takes, there are going to be a lot of hurdles that they'll have to deal with in society. But the days are gone where you just have a lot of children and not taking the responsibility. And so we want to encourage and urge them that it is time for parents, those who are even planning to become fathers, that they see the importance not just only having children or getting a woman pregnant, but we now say that we are having children because you're now going to be part of the development of your child.
Michael, what's your take on this whole perspective, the different perspectives?
Well, Donovan, thank you for having me in the first place, and this conversation is good. You know what? We need to be, talking about what it means to be fatherhood, not just when Father's Day come around, but throughout the entire year. And my perspective on fatherhood is almost similar to Greg, but kind of tragic in the sense that I didn't know my father. He actually died when I was 2 months old. And so my idea of what a father should be was framed from an early age of what I expected a father to be. I seen that I didn't have one, but there were role models around that I wanted to be like. And so I had the opportunity of kind of choosing, okay, this father is good, this father is not good, so I don't want to be like that father. But what I think the perception is kind of split in terms of good and bad, in the sense a good father, which I try to emulate, is one that is, there for his children, make the sacrifices. From a career perspective, turn down other job advancement or a promotion so that I can be with my children day in and day out. Because I think the early age, especially our formative age, and when you're around, you get to know them, they get to know you. You can impress upon them, how they should live, build that character. And so I asked my children, actually, what kind of father am I? And they say, well, you're a good father. You're hard on us, you encourage us, you want the best for us, but I think you want to build that character. And I said, that's what I want. I want, when you're grown, to look back and say, my father was there for me, because I didn't have that from a tragical perspective. But I want to say my father was there for me. It brings sacrifices, of course, because there are things I would like to do, but I can't do. But then we look at the negative side. There are fathers who, go around and sow their seed, and it gives a bad impression or perception that Jamaican fathers are like that, which is not the case. You see, the few bad apples spoil the entire bunch. And so we have to look within ourselves and try to elevate what fatherhood should be, especially in this 21st century, and lead the way. I said lead by example. So if I want my son to be the father that I am to him, I have to lead by example. So you can say, I have a father that showed me the way, and I'm going to live according to my my father taught me. And we can go back to the Bible, train up a child in the way they should go, so when they're old, they will not depart from it. And that's why I try to emulate. So I take the side that I've learned both sides, watching fathers interact with their children and fathers who didn't. And I said, this is the path I want to take. This is the legacy I want to leave for my children.
Yeah, you made a point earlier, and I'll just jump on it now so we get out of the way of some men who sow a lot of seeds. And I mean, as you mentioned, the Bible, even in the Bible, some of them sow a lot of seeds, right? All over the place. So Greg, there is that perception of some Jamaican fathers who, are sperm donors, and their role is simply done after making that contribution and moving on. Is that still a stereotype, and is it fair?
I mean, the reality is that those were fair statements to have made. I think the paradigm has shifted. There are quite a number of legislations that are in place to help to kind of cushion and also to steer fathers in the correct path that they should go. I mean, as we worked through childcare protection systems, is really how we can work with our fathers. I mean, start from the Office of the Children's Registry, where I led in Jamaica, is that this is where we went into even the community health centers, that we started to have parenting sessions with fathers, because we want the notion to remove that is only about getting a woman impregnated, and then that's where you're through, then monetary contributions are given. But how do you see your role as it regards to, even from the embryo starts to develop, that you start taking a nurturing responsibility, that even to read it with that embryo before it develops more, how is it that you can contribute to the child's development, both spiritually, physically, and emotionally, that you're being there to provide that support to even the woman in carrying that child? So it's not only that you go to work and you give money, but as Michael mentioned earlier, you want role models for children. You want them to be in society. I mean, there's a saying that we had an ad in Jamaica that said, if my father was here, I would have come out better. That may be true, but it's also going to be important that what about the other persons who are not your biological father, that they set an example. Right. I grew up not knowing my father, but I had a godfather, Uncle Danny. He was there for me. And so what we want, that other persons in society, not that you're taking on the responsibility for someone and that allows them to go and continue to impregnate other women and move on. But how is it that all of us becomes now a community that we grow that particular child who may become fatherless for various reasons? It could be because they may have lost their father during for death. But the responsibilities that we want to assure these fathers who are here now. And I think the paradigm shift has changed with even my generation, those who were born in the 70s, that we may have grown up not having a father that is present, meaning present not only giving monetary contribution, but they're there to guide children. And so I think the paradigm shift, the generation of fathers that are coming, totally different. They want to be involved in the child's life. And so we encourage fathers that you're being involved with the child from day one. Attend PTA meetings. Go talk to the teacher to find out how your child is doing. Have conversation, even co-parenting. It could be that both parents are not together. That you have to learn how to co-parent to be there for your child.
Right. Michael, how much has culture, and I'm going to use a broad term like African culture, influenced some of the practices that we have seen around fatherhood in Jamaica? What's your take?
My take on that is, you see, we live what we learn, right? And then it's a community. So if we see in our community that men are, going around with, 2, 3, 4 women, getting them pregnant, then, kids see that and say, oh, that's acceptable. Coming from African history, culture, it's almost like, well, I am black, I'm Jamaican, so this is expected of me because this is my history, this is my culture. But it's not necessarily so. It goes back to the environment, to the community you're in. I grew up in a community where there were strong men around, men that you look up to, men that, if you misbehave, you know that you're going to get a beating, and so they drive fear into you. The other aspect of that is that during early school, my teachers impressed on me the importance of what a man should be, what a father should be. And from an early age, the culture at my school at that time is that you should grow up and you should have one wife, and you should have children with that one wife. You shouldn't be going around. And so when you look in terms of the African culture and history, you can say that it happens both ways. But at the same time, as a community, what do you do with that? Do you tend to live that stereotype, that history, or you change the trajectory of your life? Because I think what's happening, role models, especially I can say today, and in certain communities, they are not there to show youth and male how to be role models, how to live as men, how to take care of their responsibility, especially when it comes to children. And so it plays a negative impact on our children, our youth, and on our father. But then again, it comes back to your environment that you're in. Because I grew up in an environment where it was normal to have, at the time, girlfriends, 3, 4, 5, 6 girlfriends. I'm like, that's not something I want to take part in. I said I'm a one-woman man, so that's what I grew up with, because I saw the role models around me in my environment, and so we should not be driven by our history and by our past culture, but set that trajectory for ourselves, what we want to accomplish based on role models around us. May not be in our immediate environment, but we got to look outside of that.
But you become the educator, Michael, right? Because I mean, you talk about stereotype, and I'll go into that just a little bit, because there's one element of that stereotype which says, but it's normal. I was reading a thing in the Star the other day, and no slight on Elephant Man, but Elephant Man claims 20 kids, right? Yeah. But he's also saying fatherhood is important, and you have to be involved in the children's lives and all the rest of it. And I was saying, boy, his days must be 48 hours, because to play that role in the life of 20 kids. And I don't know. I'm not applying any judgment on it, right? Must be difficult. But the issue, though, is there that time, and what is that role? Because, Greg, there's this perception the father is the disciplinarian, and the kids are supposed to fear the male figure in the equation, and the father is only there as a provider, right? Not necessarily for some of the other elements that I'm sure you talk about in your role as an advocate and all of those things. True, but isn't that part of the stereotype that, me not beat it till me store up the beating them till daddy come?
Yeah, and I think it goes back, as you spoke earlier on about, from our African history. That's what it was, that, the father is seen as a disciplinarian, that, mom stay home and cook. And if the child does something, that you're going to wait until the father comes. But when you look at the stretching of the family, that, you have a father who is fathering 20 children. How do you stretch yourself, and how many households that you have to provide, not only financially, but being there emotionally for those children, to ensure that those children are guided. And so the stereotype is there that fathers are only seen as providers and disciplinarian, but we want to have that paradigm shift changed, because we want fathers to understand, as we celebrate Father's Day this Sunday globally, that fathers understand that not what happened in the past, that's what is considered normal or accepted now, because we have children, and our responsibility not only to go there and work and provide for them financially, but also emotionally being there for that child, being present. Not only that, being on the phone that you can call. Sometimes our distances do provide that you can only call. But what kind of constructive guidance is being provided? Because that is also going to be critical. What kind of guidance being given there? Do you follow up? I mean, I'm here. My daughter is in Jamaica. But we talked every single day. How was school today? And what did you have for lunch today? What was the interaction like with your friends today? I want to know your friends. And so we have to be there, because our role is not only to provide and send money, but what other additional responsibilities we can play. When the time it provides for that, then we need to have them around us also. Spend quality time with them, whether it is Father's Day, whether it is birthday, whatever day you can. Go to sports day, your child's sports day.
Yeah.
Go to PTA, whether PTA now, because we're going global in terms of digitally, that PTAs are held on Zoom, so you might not be there physically, but you go there, you can have that discussion with the child, you can have that interaction with the child. So our role has to be not seen limited now in that lens, but only to see our role as being provider, but broaden the scope, that we have to be there to provide that broader responsibility and guidance for children.
All right, here's a question for both of you, and then after that, I'm going to get into some of your own personal experiences. Are the others in the equation, the mothers and the families and all of that, seeing this broadened role and helping the fathers to make this work? Michael?
Yes, I would say yes to that. And the reason I say yes to that is, when you, as a father, right, trying to take on all these different aspects of being there to support your children emotionally, financially, of course, spending time with them, getting to know them day in and day out, then others will see and say, you know what, I'm going to come along with you. I'm going to come along with you. Is there any help you need? Do you need some time off? Do you need a day off to rest? And things like that. And the reason why I strongly
hold on, Michael. You get the off?
Well, that's why I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that. There, you said you were going to go into personal, but I'll jump into that part. There is some ladies at my church, and they would come and said, I'm seeing what you're doing with your children. I give them each a day. I said, like today I came home. I said, James, today is your day. What do you want to do? He said, I want to go bike riding. So we went bike riding for half an hour. That's his day. I said, what else you want to do? Okay, tonight we're going to do our camp out. So we do camp out once a month on a Friday night. So he knows that that's his day. Another daughter, Tuesday is her day. And the older daughter, Monday is her day. So they have their time that they spend with me one-on-one. Now, when you divide up the week, you find out that sometimes you don't even have time for yourself, right? You're exhausted. You're like, So they'll say, okay, Saturday I'll come over and take care of the kids, or you can drop them off and you can go do something. I'll go play some golf, or my wife and I will take a day for ourselves. So that's what happens when you put that energy and effort into it, and the sacrifice, of course. people recognize that and said, "Hey, I see what you're doing. You're doing a good job." Some people say, "I wish my dad was like that," and I will tell them that, you know what? When I was growing up, this is what I wanted my dad to do. This is what I saw other dads doing that I want to emulate, and I'm trying to do that. And so the reward of that is that, at the end of the day, they said, "Daddy, you want me to do something for you? Daddy, just sit down. Daddy, I'll get you some juice. Daddy, I'll go to the supermarket. I pick up some things for you." So you get the reward. And I say, you know what? Thank you to the adults who jump in to help, because it's not easy. It's not easy. It takes a lot of sacrifice. When you're tired, you want to go sleep and there's homework to be done and you have to be there to help. And at the end of the day, it's worth it. It's worth it, because I remember when I was growing up, I needed that. I wanted that. I yearned for that, but it wasn't there. But that's the important thing.
That's an interesting point, and I want to go down that. And I'm chuckling when I listen to you, because one of my children, just turning 16, she has a heavy schedule. She's all over the place. She has 1,000 different activities, and I'm always amazed at the expectation that, listen, you fit around my schedule, not the other way around, right? And I mean, that is kind of, I think, what her thinking is. But Greg, what was your expectation of a father when you were growing up? And did you see that of yourself when you were becoming, or when you got to the stage of, well, no, I am a father?
I think growing up, the expectation that I would have had and learned through my godfather was that someone who was there for the family, someone who, spiritually, that ensured that the devotions were kept. You go to church, that you had respect for those within your community. And as Michael spoke earlier on, it takes a village to raise a child. And so even when we're growing up, it never only dawned that my mom or my godfather was the only one who cared for me. It a complete village that you were able to be in introspect, that there were community members who looked out for you, for ensure that you were protected. Now, those, I think, helped me as a father. At 31, I was pretty nervous. Becoming a father, not knowing what parenting, or how you're going to become a parent. But then you learn as you go, and you would have learned from other persons who were before you, how you see they grow. Books helped me also. But again, it's going to be critical that your child, all of us, our children are different. And so we have to learn them, how is it that we're going to parent them. And I think from persons who were before me, persons who are older than I am, who have seen being role models for me in my community, then they have set the path that this is how I want to grow, to my child to grow. Being there, have them dedicated at church, ensure that they go to church, ensure that they go to school, ensure that, because when you become a parent, all sacrifices being made now is not for you. It is for your child. So all your ambitions, you may have ambitions, great ambitions. You're going to have to know how you juggle that with the ambitions of your child. Yeah. Because it's not about you anymore. And that's what parents and fathers need to understand. Once you start having children, it's no longer about you. All decisions that you're taking ought to be in the best interest of that child or the children, to ensure at the end of the day they become productive individuals in society.
All right, listen. Some of the times it's about you, because like Michael, you and I are golfers. Greg, I don't know if you're a golfer. Listen, there are sometimes it's going to be about you and you have to play some golf. True?
Yeah, but you're going to have to play the golf, but at the same time, you would not leave those children unsupervised. So you're going to make preparation to ensure that your parenting role is still covered while you go to enjoy yourself.
Exactly, Greg. You gotta. I always plan in advance. So I said next week Saturday between 2 and 4 or 12 and 2, I'm going to play golf. So whatever you have to wait after that or before that. So book that in your schedule. So don't call me unless there's an emergency. Don't text me. I don't want to hear from you. So I let them know in advance. This is my time to get away.
Here's a tip, Michael. Because like I said to Mike, is listen. If there's an emergency, the first thing you call is 911.
That's true. After
that, you can call me.
I'm quite sure fathers are going to say, well, why you didn't call me?
Exactly. And
I'm saying not to call me. I said, don't call me first.
Yeah, well, I always said in emergencies you can call me, just emergency, nothing else.
Afterwards.
Don't call me to ask
Because
me
again,
where.
Donovan, fathers are expected to be protectors,
Exactly.
And children also see their fathers as a big shield around them. So the first person they're going to go to if anything happens is their dad.
Oh yeah, I know. Listen, all of it is not roses and cream and peaches and whatever else. What are some of the tough parts? What are some of the challenging experiences you guys have had as fathers?
Well, for me, one of the most challenging experience is trying to, I would say, coach your children into doing something that it's beneficial for them, it's the best for them. But then my older one, she chose a different path. She wanted to do something different, and it was challenging, but at the time because everything was leading up to her pursuing this educational opportunity, but she didn't want to do that. I was trying to get her to do law, but she wanted to do psychology, and we had some heated discussion and disagreements, and then eventually I had to give in and say, you know what, I can only take you just far. I know the ball is in your court. It's up to you. You have to make those decisions yourself. And when you make those decisions, then consequences, good or bad, you have to live with them. I try to persuade you to do something else, but at the end of the day, you chose that, and I'm going to support you. It's hard. It's hard when those things happen because all the time you've been working towards that, and then all of a sudden she changed and said, "No, I want to do this instead." So that was a challenging moment. And as fathers, we face those times, and we're like, did I fail somewhere along the line? Was some miscommunication along the line? You question in yourself and said, wasn't this what we planned? Because we planned it. This is what you're going to do, and we agreed, but at the end, she chose that path, and I have to, say, okay, well, I will support you. I will let you do what you feel that you need to do, and wish her the best, and give her all the resources that are needed and the encouragement that are needed. Because I know, but it still was a challenge for me. I'm like, you got to do this, guys. No, I say, okay, well, the rest is up to you. So it's challenging.
I mean, for me, I haven't had a challenging part. I think the earlier part was, when she was a baby. I think that was challenging for me that I had to get up to at night. I think I was on duty at night, so Rachel would be on morning duty, and my responsibility would be at night to ensure that Chelsea is changed and she's fed and all of that. So I think that was the hardest part. I think how we have grown her, we're really proud of her. How we have grown her, we haven't had any issue for the last 14 years. Whether it's been cognitive development, whether it is physical or medical, pretty good. And so we just hope that we continue to nurture her, that she continues in that same path, that we don't have any issues, and that we can provide that guidance in terms of career path when she's ready. I mean, I know as she becomes teenage, and now I start to brace myself because relationships are going to be starting to the mix. So I started to, before she was born, I dreamt that I had to pull my machete on a young man. So my co-worker said, well, the child hasn't born it. I used dreaming that.
I dreamed that already.
I know at 14 now, for the next probably year or two, that's going to be something that I need to get myself into, kind of have that relationship with her also. And also try to set the example, the bar for her, that once now she starts preparing to go into relationship, what is it to be in a relationship? And this is how my dad treat me. So if I'm going to take up a boy to talk to a boy, you ought to treat me in a way as how my dad would have treated me. So I now have to really prepared for that. And so I think probably that's the challenging part as time progresses.
And I mean, as you said that, there could be other things that come into the mix. Who knows? One of the things you both said was that, listen, we had to learn this along the way.
Yeah.
What was your biggest learning as a father? You've been at it for almost 20 years, Michael. Greig, you're almost 15 years. The biggest learning, if you could pick something out.
I would say the biggest learning is that you know, this, what was it, children, all three of them, this is a part of me, but at the same time, they're not me. You know, we try to steer them in one direction, they go in another direction. And it causes conflicts there, you know. And as I think Greg said it, you know, we try and plan or, you know, have dreams of things might happening, but at the same time, you're like, nobody prepared me for this. No, there's no manual to read. You're kind of going it on your own. No two fathers experience the same thing. And so the challenging part of it is that every day I get up, I'm like, okay, Lord, okay, what is going to come today? What's the next thing today? Am I ready for this? Am I ready for this, entire different world? And that was one of the things that I struggled with earlier on, because I wanted to do my best. I wanted to be there all the time, but I couldn't. And so I had to rely on, my wife and other family members to be there when I couldn't. I mean, I remember one time I had to go away for one week for work. And I'm like, this is not real. This is not supposed to happen. Why am I feeling this way? What the emotional drama that's going on inside my head? I don't want to leave my child. I'm talking about my first child. I don't want to leave her. We had to leave for a week. And like, at the time we were in Jamaica and we had to come to Canada for 1 week. I'm like, I don't want to leave her. Why? The emotion that comes with it. I wasn't prepared for that. And so I was tossed, back and forth. And, Greg, you're a year away from your daughter. To me, it was like almost like I'm dying. And I'm like, you can't be prepared emotionally for that, because until you experience it, you can't fathom what it's going to be like. Until you're in that situation, you're like, if this is what being a father is like when you take it seriously, man, it's a whole lot of responsibility, right? Because even though you're married, my wife and I have been married for 23 years. She's an adult. She goes and comes wherever she want to go. But when you have a child, the second time you wake up, you're like, okay, how is she doing? Is she okay? You go into a room and you check in a room. Is she alive? Oh, yes, she's alive. Okay, good. So that part I wasn't prepared for. That part nobody could teach you that. Just the emotional part that you have to exert so much energy into it.
Yeah, Greg, what about you?
I mean, it's similar to Michael. I mean, the emotional aspect of it being a parent, you can never be taught that. I mean, at early stage, I mean, even going to the barber, I couldn't go without Chelsea at age 2. And she was 2. She wants to be there. So it becomes very difficult in terms of when you have to move away, because there's expectations and the child has bonded with you. And that's what we want to say to fathers, that, when you have that bond with your child, it opens a lot of avenues. It brings heartaches and pain, because one, it opens communication, that you're able to communicate with your child. The bond is there, but you're never going to be able to, no one is going to teach you, whether you're going to read a book or anything, about the emotional aspect, the bonding that you have with your child. And it can be very painful. At times, you don't want even to see a child sick. You don't want to know that the child is there and they can't eat because they're not well, or you want to know that they're in a hospital, because it pains you. I mean, we had a situation in Jamaica a few years ago where some ladies in St. James, they were raped. And an 8-year-old included was also raped. I mean, for me, being responsible for children in Jamaica, it affected me emotionally, because I'm wondering, being away from my daughter, if someone had invaded the home, went in and raped her, how would I have handled that? And I mean, it hurt, because I was there protecting the nation's children. And I felt then I was away from my own child. And so it's going to be critical that we understand our role. How is it that we put barriers also, while we're protecting others children in the community that aren't ours? How is it that we also ensure that we have, as the proverb would say, ensure that you have 2 eyes at the back, 2 at the front, that you can always see your child, because it's very painful. And when you see that your child probably suffering emotionally, physically, they're in a hospital, you can't help them, because what they're going through, it's only healing process. So those are not things that we're prepared for, but we have to learn along the way.
Yeah. The time is going, and I still want to wrap up, but I have 2 quick ones. There's a question about the financial responsibility and how you prepare for what that is. And I remember a few years ago I'd said to somebody, uh, or I think one of my children, get into the want to move out, or somebody want to adopt them, and I say I don't have a problem with that as long as they pay me for all the years that have gone by, because it's not cheap. So all who want get it for free, right? Understand that you don't just get my children for free because I spend a lot of money on them, so you have to give me back.
A lot of investment.
Not true. How do we prepare for the financial responsibility and get that message across as well, guys?
The financial responsibility, that was one of the things that I wanted to put in place, that I was financially somewhat secure before we had our first child. Growing up in Jamaica, growing up poor, and not having food to eat, a proper place to call home, but we had a community, and so it's always the top on my list when we decide to have a child, that we should have some financial security. And so that always was on my mind. I didn't want us to have a child until we were financially secure in that sense. So I made sure that, I studied, I did my degree, I was in my profession, and even a couple of years within, I'm like, I don't think I have enough money, because I want to buy a house, I want to, buy a car, I want to do all these things before we would have our first child. And it so happened that we were good. We were doing good. We were in our jobs. We were financially secure. But even after having the first child, and you have to pay your child care. That was the most expensive thing at the time. A small, 1 month, 2 month kid, you're paying in Toronto here. We're paying $600 a month. I'm like, that's a large amount. That's a total investment, And as the years go by, and we look at all the three, and we're like, this takes a lot of financial resources, and if you're not fully prepared for that, it would drive people crazy. I mean, some fathers will say, that's probably why some fathers just take off, because that financial commitment has to be there. It's a I would say a lifetime investment, because you're invested in their life, and it doesn't stop. You have, for our first daughter, she's in university. She just finished her first year. 3 more years to go.
Yeah.
Who knows? She probably want to continue doing something else. It's a large investment, and you have to be mentally prepared. Even if you are not at the beginning, you're like, yes, this is really, really serious. And I don't joke around being a dad. And I say to them, you know what? I don't expect you to obey everything I say, but one thing I need you to do is to respect me, because I'm putting a lot of money into this, a lot of resources into this, and just show me respect. Just respect me as your father. Respect me as someone who is here, committed to you to your development. Because first thing, I didn't have a dad, and this is what I wanted my dad to do. So I'm doing it for you guys. So all I need is just that respect, nothing else. Just call me dad. How are you, dad? Anything like that, just show me that respect, because I deserve it. I earned it. I worked for it, and I've paid and toiled and put sweat and blood into it. So that's all I want. And it makes a difference in their life, because they'll see what I'm doing as a father.
Yeah. And all right. Listen, I have to do a wrap, and I have one last question, both of you. Greg, if I talk to Chelsea, what would she say about her dad?
Wow. I think Chelsea said, well, guess what? I just love spending time with dad. I mean, we've just always been a fun dad, but also dad is very serious. One call or just one talk I talk, Chelsea understands that I'm a very serious individual. But guess what? We do have our fun times. And I think that outweighs it. She'll say, well, I can talk to dad about anything. And that's what I want. I want her to be very comfortable that whatever is happening, that she can come to me and have that conversation. But she'll say he's a no-nonsense individual.
Michael, if I talk to James, Joanna, or Jasmine, what do they say about that?
Well, good thing you asked that question, because today I asked them that question. What would they say about me? And they all said, you know what, Dad? You give sound advice. We can always come to you if we're having any issues, and you'll sit down and listen, and you'll give us your opinion. And one of the things we know for sure, you're committed to your family, you're committed to us, your children, and you want to see us excel in whatever we do and make the family proud. And that's what they will say. That's what they said today. And I said, thank you guys. That's all I want. It doesn't matter what you do. I just want you to be, do your best, be your best, and make us proud that we are your parents.
Awesome. Listen, we could continue this conversation for a very, very long time, but I appreciate you guys being on Watagwan as we reason. Greg Smith, when Father's Day come, enjoy it. Big up Chelsea. Michael Farquharson. And people remember, Michael is running for councillor, Brampton, Ward 7 and 8. Election is October 24. I'm going to mention it again, Michael and my brethren. And we need to get more people like us at the table. So big up Michael. But enjoy the time with Joanna, Jasmine, and James. And happy Father's Day to both of you. Thanks.
And happy Father's Day to you too, Donovan.
Yeah.
Same to you, Donovan, Michael. Donovan and Greg, happy Father's Day, and enjoy it. Enjoy it.
All right. Take care, guys.
Take care. Take care. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Nadia.
Hello, that was awesome.
Good liquor reasoning.
Yes, great things to say. I'm going to jump, because of time, I'm going to jump right into some of the questions that we had, and I hope that you'll be able to answer them since our guests are gone. But one of the questions from Wild Carrot was, looking at culture and systems and policies, do you think that those contribute to the views of fatherhood in Jamaica?
Well, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, people will mirror the things and the structures that are around them, right? Mm-hmm. It's just natural. But I think more importantly, they're gonna mirror their lived experiences in a lot of ways, either in a good way by following it, or saying that's not going to be me, right? The other thing that I think is important as we look at it is, I think each generation learns a little bit more and therefore can add another layer to the perspective that exists and can do better as they move forward. So yeah, policy and stuff will assist, but I think our lived experiences will do more.
And we had another question from OGI. How does the financial aspect impact the mindset of young men and fatherhood? I know that both of those guests touched on it a little bit. What about you?
Well, like I said, being a father isn't a cheap exercise, right? So there is some financial commitment that needs to be considered, and it will influence the degree to which you make certain decisions about education, about vacations, about lifestyle, about overall investment. That said, it doesn't necessarily affect everybody depending on the degree of responsibility that you want to take. Right. If you feel that, you know what, I can just be a sperm donor and I can move on and somebody else will take care of my responsibility, then the cost of being a parent won't be a bother to you. If you acknowledge that it is your responsibility and you take on that burden, then definitely you're going to say, listen, two is better than too many, right? And therefore you stop at a certain point, or you limit the degree to which you're going to expose yourself financially, right? Because you can't do what is required for them, or you can't do what you would want to do for them, right? Granted, being a father isn't just financial. I think that is something we have to acknowledge, right?
Yes. We have one more before we go today, or before I let you go. Shauna, her comment and her question. So the comment is, the amazing fathers who take up their roles as providers seriously oftentimes don't seem to balance the provider aspect with the need to be present with family. How do you fathers manage that better?
Well, I think it varies depending on what your family structure is and what your you know, how you assume that responsibility. I heard Michael talk about having to travel. I've had jobs where I had to travel quite a bit for a while, and
Right.
my children got into accepting that, and in some cases live vicariously through me for some of the places that they went. What I wanted to make sure of, though, was that they understood why. And I remember the two little ones. I always brought back something from every city that I went to for them. It's just a part of that understanding, and I don't think it adversely affected them. Right? They got to accept that it's just part of dad's job. Right? If I were a pilot, or if I were in another role, then it comes with the turf.
Yeah.
I think once there's an understanding, then I think you get balance, right, around being present and doing all the other things that come with fatherhood.
Right. Well, thank you so much. And as a father yourself, you're a great part of the conversation. Thank you so much to Michael and to Greg and to yourself, Donovan. Have a fantastic evening.
Yeah, man. Take care.
Thanks. So that was really good. Again, if you missed that conversation, you can always go back and do an encore on YouTube or on Facebook. So I want to thank very much to our interactive audience today. So thank you to Shauna and Adoma, OGI, Ellison. I think we had to go back and talk about our Spot the Place today. We did have a correct answer in our chat, and I'm just going to go back a little bit to grab that, which would have been Chris, who had the right answer. Rafa got the right place, but Chris got the right actual answer. It is Trident Castle in Portland. And that Trident Castle is the only castle in the Caribbean that was built in the 1980s by architect Errol Levy. That's funny, we were talking about Levy earlier. The castle was commissioned by Mr. Levy, then business partner, Baroness Femi of Germany. So again, thank you, Chris. Way to go. And to all of you who put in, Ellison, thank you so much also for your guess. You're close, but again, it is Trident Castle in Portland. So thank you. And going back to our patois word of the day, duppy, we did also get, Ellison, that's yours. Duppy, a ghost, aka spirit, however you call it, that's what they call it out in the Caribbean, especially into Jamaica. Duppy would be a ghost. So we, a lot of us grew up with people that encouraged us to make sure that we don't encourage or associate with duppy. So that is our word of the day. Thank you so much again for all of those who interacted with us today and were able to guess that and give us our sentences. So thank you so much. It was a great show today, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please also follow all of the old shows and our new ones that are coming up on Facebook and YouTube. And for next week, we are going to be talking about why did you come to Canada? So we'll have a special guest with us to have that conversation. And I hope that you are going to be able to join us. It will unfortunately be my last hosting gig for now, but I will be back. So join me for next week at 7 o'clock Mountain Time. Central is 8 o'clock. We are on Facebook. We're on Instagram and YouTube. You can check out our website, whatagoan.ca. So you'll never be able to miss us, okay? Have a fantastic evening and saying good night from Winnipeg. This is Nadia Thompson. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day.